Hello to my Leo friends. I'm Lisa from Trails Edge Astrology, and this is your astrology and tarot horoscopes for this beautiful new moon in Cancer that is upon us on Friday, July 5th, and will color the rest of the month. So the new moon in Cancer is always about big feelings. Cancer is sensitive and imaginative and dreamy. It's also security minded and sometimes can have trouble letting go. For you, the Cancer new moon is showing up in your 12th house. And your 12th house is a place where you can't always see. You always have Cancer in your 12th house, so it's not like you've learned how to negotiate this. But this new moon will be some invitation to take a step into spirituality or healing or unwinding or undoing some of the conditioning that might have been holding you back in the past. Oftentimes the 12th house is called the house of undoing, and it can be because it is a place where people often use escapist kinds of tools to either try and get enlightenment or kind of get out of painful situations. um, so like alcohol and drugs or shopping or any of those kinds of escapist kind of things can be 12th house kind of outlets. But I like to think of the undoing as, if we're introspective and we're a little bit more internal, as undoing the structures and the silos, the rigidity that has kept us in a certain place for a certain amount of time and has not let us step into the greater cosmic consciousness or whatever evolution we're supposed to be taking. Um, so with this new moon in Cancer, I think you have an invitation to, take a step into that unknown arena and see what happens. An invitation, anyway, to do that. So this new moon is being colored by the Mercury-Pluto opposition, and if you want more on that, I did a 1-minute astrology on Wednesday that you can hop over and hear a little bit more about that energy. That's energy that's going to permeate through the month again, because we'll have first Mercury has opposed Pluto, and then Venus and the Sun will do the same. And essentially, this is like a first look at what Pluto is doing in that Aquarian house in your chart, and how it might come across. Oppositions of two planets are as far apart as they possibly can, so they're thinking on the same. They have the same mission, but they have very different ways of going about it. And so oftentimes oppositions show up as projection, like you're working on a thing and you see it in somebody else, or you blame somebody else for something that you need to be working on. So for you, your Aquarian house is your 7th house, which is your house of committed relationships. And so there's something about this time while Pluto is in Aquarius, which is 20 years, so a long time, uh, about reforming how you sit in relationships, how you show up in relationships. This is partners of all stripes, so not just romantic relationships, but business partnerships, committed friends, any of those kinds of like one-on-one um, committed kinds of bonds are being invited to seek some reform and seek you know some ways of showing up authentically as who you are. So this Cancer moon is in your 12th house, where it is asking you to go deeper and to go beneath the surface and to break down some structures. And it's somehow speaking to that how you show up in relationships. um, and with the opposition, like it's not just like the relationship piece, it's like you in relationships, um, you and others, how you reform, um, how you how you reform the relationship with yourself in order to show up for others, like how all that works together. So that's all being asked, being churned at the moment, with this new moon in Cancer. We also have a Mars sextile to Saturn while this is happening, and that Mars sextile is actually, I think, going to be helpful because it's going to help us kind of ground and give some a a healthy dose of discipline, perhaps, to whatever it is we're bringing in. Mars is in that Taurus house. We'll talk about that in a second, but lots been going on in that house for you. And and this is a harmonious connection to Saturn that I think can, like, just help us ground some things, help us bring some things into material being. So it's not just all feelings, which a Cancer new moon could be, but there's some grounded piece to it and some discipline that can come in. Venus is square Chiron during this time as well. Chiron is our deepest wounds and where we can become our greatest teachers. And Venus, um, you know, a Venus square to Chiron could be some, like, throwing some salt in some wounds, but typically any Venusian contact is positive. So hopefully there's some healing balm. So even if there's some wounds or some deep feelings that are coming up, hopefully there's some salve that helps you put that all in perspective. And then the final thing I wanted to mention about this lunar cycle and July in general is that we have the Mars Uranus conjunction in Taurus coming up on July 15th. So we will start feeling that. If you're not feeling it already, we'll start feeling it next week. Remember that Mars moves fast and Uranus moves faster. And Mars and Taurus can be a bull in a china shop, and Uranus can be the cattle prod. So it can be big energy. It can be unexpected things. It can be any of those, like finally able to get out of the starting gate. Unexpected isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can get us moving. And all of that Taurus energy is happening in your 10th house. So it started probably in the spring, probably came to some head in April, when we had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions and the eclipses that were ruled by that Taurus space in your chart. And so I'm wondering, like, what has happened in career? And if you're retired or you're a student or you don't have a traditional career, that's all good. This is like your public presence. What is coming to light in your public presence? How is this charging you to get you moving into a new space, and a new way of letting people see you? As a Leo rising, you're okay being seen. But with Taurus up at the top of your chart, like what does it practically look like? What do you want? Or what are you being invited to do that might be different than or revolutionary or terrifying? um, so I would expect something to change career wise, either internally or externally. That's hard to say, but depends on what else it's connecting with and all that good stuff. But definitely some interesting energy in that really public place in your chart. So, I think overall for the month of July, introspection is the name of the game. Like, feel into that Cancer moon and know that there are some external things happening, and influencing it, and that it's okay to find your safe space, but be sure to venture out when it feels right. Don't push too hard, but don't sit in a corner either. All right, so let's look at what the tarot cards have to say, to help you think about how to manifest this energy. We are using the Mind's Eye Tarot. I got this deck. Let me move this so I can see myself. I got this deck a few weeks ago, and I adore the art on it. So I've been using it pretty much all the time, and so you get to see it. And I'm going to do a spread today that is a new moon spread that I use in my own practice, but I don't know that I have done on this channel before. So let me know if you like it. As I say, it's one I use a lot, and so I like it. All right. So, where are you now, my Leo rising friends? So, for now, we got the Temperance card. So, you come into this lunar cycle kind of in a state of trying to balance, trying to, not necessarily rock the boat, but really keep everything on a level playing field. And this can be good. Like it can be good to be able to kind of keep everything where it needs to be, keep the ripples at a minimum, so that you're not like capsizing any of the boats or any of those things. But it can also be that maybe you're in a place where you're trying to balance too much, and that means you are giving up opportunities. Like you're by not being willing to capsize the boat, you're missing the other ship that comes in because that boat's out of the way, something like that, whatever metaphor you want to use. um, and you tell me. I don't know. So right now you are in a space of temperance, you are in a space of balance and harmony, and that might be good, and it might be blocking you from doing. All right, so the second card in this spread is what is blocking your growth. And you got the Hierophant. So you actually have three major arcana in a spread of 5 cards. So, like, I feel like this is going to be a big month for you. Big, strong, kind of archetypal month for you. So, what is blocking your growth? The Hierophant. And the Hierophant is a religious figure. And again, not always bad, but being that there's energy in your 12th house, which is a spiritual place. I wonder if what's blocking your growth right now is some rigidity around your um, around spirit, how you engage with the divine, what you think you are able to do. Maybe some rigidity because of childhood experiences or what you grew up with or just your cultural norms. Maybe in your relationships, because we've got that relationship energy too. Maybe there's some like some boundary you feel like you can't cross, or some I'm like, no, this is the one true way, and I can't unravel that piece of it. And so there's something blocking you. You're staying in this circle, and there's some and that's a block for you. So there's something that you're being asked to step outside that, and with the recognition that it's probably uncomfortable. It's probably uncomfortable to, you've got your temperance card, you've got everything balanced, you've got all the people in alignment, and so just knowing, and you probably already know this, you're probably already feeling it, like there's a place where you know that you'd like to go, but there's something in your upbringing, in the way the world has worked for you, that is holding you back from going there. And and uh, and what is that, and what does it look like? It's probably a pain point. It's probably not going to be an easy place to think about leaving, but know that there is a block because of some kind of conditioning that you have going on. It could also be, sometimes the archetypes are people. There could be somebody in your life that is like, can't cross that thing, because if I do, then I don't know what's going to happen, or then, you know who knows. Most of the time, whatever it is we think is going to happen is not as bad as we think it's going to be. All right, so what intentions can you set to help you move forward? And you got the Four of Cups. This is super interesting because fours are about rest, are about, taking time and really letting ourselves integrate. But the Four of Cups tends to be about kind of apathy, or just that, like I'm stopped, but I don't want to stop. I'm not, it doesn't feel good. It's not a happy resting place. So I wonder if the intention for you is, like, maybe you are ready to go forward. Maybe you're like doing this balancing act, and there's a place to go, and you don't know how to get through it. And so I wonder if the invitation is to like sit in some discomfort for a little while. Sit in a place where you're maybe not going exactly where you want to go, but you need to sit in that pain point. You need to sit in this, like, this isn't where I want to be or who I want to be, for a little while, or for long enough to kind of um, to figure that out, or to process, or do whatever work you need to do to get through it. So I'm feeling like this lunar cycle in particular is a chance to invite in sitting in some discomfort for some period of time, or maybe just like looking at some piece of yourself, or some psychology piece of your psychology, or your mental processing, or your your core beliefs, your like that foundational stuff you grew up in, and just sitting in that and being a little bit uncomfortable with it, but not necessarily being in a hurry to push through it, just being in it. So I would encourage you to invite in sitting in uncertainty, or sitting in, and really shining a light on the places that don't necessarily feel good for you to stop and sit in. All right. Um, and what knowledge do you need in this lunar cycle? And this is fantastic. So that you got the Ace of Wands. So the aces are the most pure form of energy, and wands are very fiery, very Leo. They're about uh, flashes of insight, and initiative, and just like that living in your passion, showing up in, in your full creativity. And so I think what this is saying is, you've got this balance, you've got this rigidity or this structure that's not really serving you at the moment. um, Sit in it, and if you do that, then there is an invitation. Know that there is something coming that will let you step into whatever this next chapter is, wherever it is you want to go, wherever you're feeling called to be. So know that there's some new energy coming. Know that probably in that career house in your chart, if you're willing to break down some of these expectations and some of this stuff, this rigidity you're holding, and sit in this discomfort for a little while, like there's a new light. There's something shining. Like the sun is coming up, and that you can really step into that heart-centered leadership space that, as a Leo rising, you want to be in, and that you're called to live out. All right. And finally, what is the emerging positive energy? So very much like this Ace of Wands energy, your emerging positive energy is the Magician. And the Magician comes right after the Fool in the major arcana. So the Fool is taking the leap of faith, taking the next step. And what the Magician tells us is that we have all of the tools we need right now. So the emerging positive energy is, if you sit in this space of discomfort for a little while, if you really try and break down those silos, and you sit in this place of discomfort, that you will recognize that you don't need any more training. You don't need anyone's permission. You have everything you need. You have all of your tools right there with you, and you can do whatever it is that you want to bring in. You can bring in all of this passion and creativity. Everything, all of your Leo risingness can come into being, and you can share that with the world. You have it in you already. So that's the emerging energy. I think if you're willing to kind of sit in this month, which might not feel the most comfortable, that you will come out of it with a really a beautiful understanding of your gifts and your joy and how to share them with the world. All right, and our final card is coming from the Season of the Witch, the Litha deck. So this series has different cards for all of the solstices and equinoxes and cross quarter days, and I think they're fun, and they speak nicely to the energy of the time. So the solstice was just on the 21st, and I tend to observe that energy through the first full moon, or I'm sorry, the first new moon. So I think of this as the solstice new moon, and so I keep working with those kinds of tools. So the card you got is the Country Cottage. And it says, get my glasses, it says, it's time for the seeker to look within. What haunts you can only be faced by you. So I think that fits very well with the other cards we pulled in the astrology. Like, this is about relationships, this is about spiritual depth, this is about unwinding values, and this is about sharing your joy and light with the world. But this card reminds us that you're the only one who can do the work. So the book says, welcome to spiritual homesteading, the practice of finding independence, self-determination, and sustainability for your soul's well-being. There's certainly no shortage of spiritual teachers, programs, and tools on offer, including this deck or this channel. Um, but the trouble with relying too much on someone else to guide you is that you lose the ability to stimulate your own healing and rewards. You have pulled this card to encourage you to trust your own guidance more than you seek advice and help from other people. You know that you need to, you know what you need to succeed. You know it's not serving your highest good. I'm sorry, let me read that again. You know what you need to succeed. You know what's not serving your highest good. You know what you want and what you need. What you're lacking is a belief in yourself. Stay on your path. Um, Stay on the path you're on and have faith in your desire for your ability to reach your rewards in life. You are more capable than you have allowed yourself to believe, and you are fine continuing on this path alone. So that's interesting. Like, this magician is singular, is by himself. Um, all of the tools, all of the tools needed. Everything's there already. You don't need a partner. You don't need a relationship. If you have those things, if those things show up, great. You have all these skills on your own, and you have to sit in yourself. You have to sit in this Four of Cups space where it doesn't necessarily feel good. You don't necessarily know the answer, but there's reward and there's benefit in that surrender. So, Leo Risings, I hope this helps. If you made it this far, would you please give me a like? Would you please subscribe if you're not subscribed? Would you share this if you find it interesting and helpful? Help me help this channel grow. I would definitely appreciate it. And let me know how this sits for you. Bye for now.